What's going on? Welcome to the hike.files podcast, episode 28. I'm your host, Kurt Zitzelman, and I'm here with my buddy Ryan from Burnwood Bushcraft. It's awesome to have you on, man. What's going on?
Thank you for having me, man. How's everybody doing out there?
Long time no see, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
A week and a half. So, why don't you take a minute and, to those who don't know who you are, just introduce yourself and what you do and your channels and all that.
Well, my name is Ryan Hinshaw. I've been doing YouTube for probably 6-7 years. I had my YouTube account, I guess, since about 2010, but I didn't post. I didn't create content until like later. But my channel is a bushcraft channel, and I just really got into it because I wanted to try to develop a skill set that I can use anytime, and a skill set that is, I think, essential in case of emergencies. You know, you never know what kind of situation you're going to be in out there in the real world. If craziness happens, So I just got into it. I think I stumbled upon the bushcraft stuff on YouTube. I think I was looking for some kind of product I was looking for something, and somehow it I guess I Google searched it or something, and I stumbled upon a video. And I think that first video was a guy. His channel name is BC Bushcraft. I think he's in Vancouver, Canada, and he was out there building a shelter and stuff. And I was just blown away. And I was like, man, I want to do this. So I started thinking about it, and all I had was like a Galaxy S8 phone and I'm like, let me see if I can figure out how to turn this thing sideways and film a video and see what it looks like. And that's just how it started, really. And got a tripod and just going out in my mom's backyard and just inside the wood line. I decided I was going to build a shelter back there, and because it's right there, because we lived with my mother for about 4 or 5 years, and me and my wife. But that's pretty much it, man. And throughout I guess the time that I've been doing it, I've built several shelters and done a lot of solo camps and stuff like that.
That's awesome. Well, and just so anybody who doesn't know, where exactly you located at?
I am in North Carolina. I am about 30 minutes or less away from the Virginia state line, and right here at the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains. So,
Nice.
So if you're talking about like the AT and Boone, North Carolina, where App State is, that's probably about 2-3 hours from me, a little southwest. So up in the top little corner of North Carolina.
So because the AT I think goes through like the eastern side, right?
Right.
North Carolina. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty close to that. So if anybody's familiar with Interstate 77, which runs all the way through North Carolina, all the way down to Charlotte, I'm right on it. I'm right on 77, and when we always go up north, we take 77 up through the mountains into Virginia, and then we hit 81 north, and that's how we go up to. Yeah. We go through West Virginia, PA, a little bit of Maryland and PA. So
yeah, 77 that goes right into like the southern tip of West Virginia, doesn't it?
Yeah. You're not in West Virginia very long. Yeah.
Because I have a sister who lives in Princeton, which is like part of the town is in West Virginia, part of it's in Virginia, but it's right in that very southern tip. And we used to go down there. It'd go all the way down to the southern tip and get on 77 and then go back up and like through those crazy tunnel mountains that you kind of go through to get into West Virginia. It's pretty cool.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So you kind of answered my second question, what got you into bushcraft? You kind of found on YouTube, but how did you get your name Burnwood?
Well, I've always liked to have campfires, and I've always loved just hanging out by the fire and stuff. But I just love to burn wood, man. By a fire and just have some beers and or not always beers, but I just like having campfires. And when I was trying to think of a channel name, I was like, you know what, Burnwood Bushcraft. That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it wasn't like a name you had from friends who were like, dude, this guy's always coming to my house and like cutting my trees up and burning them down. You just sounded cool.
No, no, it totally came from my own head, I guess. And then of course when I started getting into the YouTube community, everybody started calling me Burnwood, so it just kind of stuck.
Yeah, that's kind of the tricky thing with with YouTube. Like, I mean, you've done it too. We've met a lot of people from YouTube, and you never know if you should refer to them by their channel name or their actual name. Like, when I'm hanging out with Dragon and Panda, like I'm like, do I call them by, like, I'm so used to it. For the first like year, I just called them Dragon and Panda, even though I know their names. And then sometimes in videos, it kind of slips out. Like, I don't know if they want me telling their real names on videos. It's
right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm so used to saying Dragon and Panda. And so, like, when I'm with them in person, sometimes I have to, like, I feel like I should call them by their real name, Don and Jerry.
Yeah.
But it's just so easy to say Dragon and Panda. And I watched AOK video today, and she's doing it too, saying Dragon and Panda. It's just so easy. It's just how we come to know them, I guess.
Yeah, it'll even be in conversation. It could be one sentence, and I will call them. I'll call Don in one part, and at the end of the sentence will be Dragon. Like, it's like so interchangeable. But some people get really upset. Like, I just use my name, so it doesn't matter to me. But some people are like, I don't want my name. Don't say my real name. I'm like, sorry.
I don't mind.
Yeah. So over your journey here with bushcraft and your love of burning wood, how many different methods of starting a fire do you know? Like, have you gone through all like the bow drill and all that stuff, and do you try to learn all that?
I've done the bow drill fire at least 3 times. Without a doubt, I know for a fact that if I had a shoelace and a knife, I could go out and start a fire, no problem. I've done flint and steel, of course, a ferro rod, a lot. What are some of the other ones? Refresh my memory.
I mean, some people go crazy and they'll do like the 9-volt battery and the steel wool, and they'll just try anything and anything to get it to get a fire.
I haven't tried that. I need to do that.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've never actually tried it myself, but it seems to work. What's your go-to for starting a fire?
Usually, I mean, I just whip out my lighter. I mean, save the ferro rod for when you don't have a lighter. That's what I've always heard. But of course, on a bushcraft channel, it looks way cooler if you take out the ferro rod and it's like, what? Like, people that don't know anything about it's like, whoa, what is that? You know?
That's why I don't do bushcraft, because I suck at ferro rod. I can never. I mean, I can do it, but man, my ferro rods always suck, so they don't throw a lot of spark.
Man, when I first started doing it, if you go back and watch my early videos, it would take me like hours sometimes to start a fire with a ferro rod because I just didn't take the time to do the necessary prep and get the fibrous, fluffiest tinder to catch a spark. And I'll be sitting here trying to strike shavings that I did that are just too big, not fibrous enough, and then once I started like getting into fat wood and stuff like that, that makes it a whole lot easier because it's so flammable. But even with fat wood, it's best to start with like scrapings instead of shavings. So but there's ferro rod. It's easy to whip it out.
Yeah, I've got an old video. It was like car camping, like years and years ago, and I was just kind of getting into, not really bushcraft, but I mean those are good things to know. So it's like, I'm gonna start learning how to use the ferro rod right. And my buddy Rocco was recording it, and I think I sped up the clip, but it was like 20 minutes of me just like and I kept on knocking the tinder down and putting it back down. I want to catch.
Yeah.
And it finally, I think I just threw enough heat at it, just finally caught on fire. But
I used to get so pissed. I mean, just pissed off when I would knock my tinder out of the way and I'd be sitting there sweating balls, if in the summertime trying to start a fire, and I used to get so mad just angry, and I'm sitting here trying to film a video. I'm like, man, I really need to get this to light up, for this video, but then just get mad and just pull my lighter out, which I could have had a fire started an hour ago, but
yeah, when I start carrying these little, they're like it's like a jute cord that is soaked in beeswax and something else, and you just kind of fluff them up, and like that is just, and they're real small. They're just called like bee wicks or something. I forget what they're called, like fuses, bee fuses, and you just kind of fluff them up, and it's like one little spark, and it's boom, and it just catches. When you got the right tinder, like you said, it's amazing. It's not all about the spark.
Yeah, I used to use some of the black and white fire starter stuff from Paul Corona, and he had some similar type stuff like that, along with different wood recipes and stuff that he would cook up. And yeah, he literally cooked stuff into wood and made it like a super flammable wood. But yeah, some of those little things that you fluff, I still have some of those actually, and they work pretty good.
Do you have any more birch wood by you than you used to at your old place? Because I know there was like a severe shortage. I didn't think of it till I got back from Kentucky. I was like, I should have took some birch bark down to give to you.
Actually, here we have along the creeks and stuff, it's like a yellow birch.
Yeah.
And that's about the only one that I've seen here. We don't, and it's real flaky, really papery, and you can't really peel it off in sheets like big rounded sheets like you guys have up there.
Yeah.
Actually, I still have the time that I came up and stopped by and saw Dragon and Panda, Don and Jerry for a day. I just stopped by and I think it was like right. I think it might have been right after they had Gwyneth, but we were just walking in the backyard, just taking a look around, and the first time that I'd been to his house, and it was just so cool. When we walked back, we went across the path back there, and I saw some birch bark laying on the ground. I'm like, man, I'm taking that. I'm gonna take that with me.
Yeah,
So
we
I still
tripped
have
over
some of
there.
that. Yeah, I bet so.
You get more natural fat wood. We have all the birch bark.
You guys got a lot of it.
Oh yeah, I mean, I can look out my window and there's like 4 birch trees right across the street on the river. You know, we've got the yellow birch. A lot of people up here call them river birch. We got the white birch. We got paper birch. I think white and paper are the same thing. But when we get, there's like 4 or 5 different kinds of birch up here. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But then we got stuff that we got aspen, which looks like birch, but it's not. And you're sitting there trying to get curls off, and it just ain't gonna happen. It just isn't the same bark.
Right.
So, what for new people who are maybe thinking about getting into bushcraft? What would be like some general safety or advice to stay safe and do not hurt yourself when you're trying to learn this stuff? Because some of it is pretty manual, and like how do you not like lose a limb?
Well, I think the most important thing that anybody can keep in their head is when you're using a knife or an axe, no matter how big it is, and you're doing something, cutting wood, trying to split, shave, cut, whatever, wear a glove. Wear gloves. At least wear a glove on your offhand. If you're right-handed and you're doing something, especially with an axe, you know, wear a glove. Wear a glove. Something that's pretty thick that's going to protect you if you slip. Because I was out here trying to split a really dense piece of wood with my Gerber hatchet, the bigger one, and I did not have a glove on. And you know how like say when you're trying to you got your axe up on top of it and you're trying to tap it to get it started, and then you're going to boom boom boom. Well, it slipped off and cut me. What was that at? Right here. I don't know if you can see that, but right across that knuckle.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Man, and it was deep. I probably should have went and had stitches, but it was just. I mean that thing. You know how Fiskars are. They're sharp. They're super sharp. Wear a glove. I mean, at all the time, and when you're handling
more than just like a light, like a gardening glove, like a good leather glove or something like that.
Yeah, and now, like I have a pair of these safety gloves that have like orange, like rubber on the knuckles and stuff. So it's like a added like cushion, like So yeah, just something like that. Just make sure you wear gloves and just be careful. Like make sure you learn and try to study up on the proper techniques of splitting wood and there's a ton of stuff on YouTube you can find to
Yeah.
teach yourself how to be safe.
Yeah, I guess it goes with not just being outdoors, but I mean, people need to learn to be a little safer anyway. If you've ever driven on the road, outside of the bushcraft stuff, though, you do have the video that you did that on the run, and that was more of like a scripted, more dramatic kind of a video. Is that something that you have interest in doing more videos like that, or was that just a one-off thing?
It's like like short film type stuff. I don't know what possessed me to do that, but once I started it, I was like, well, I'm into it. I got to try to finish it. I think a lot. So basically, I think it's I think it's just my alter ego. That's what that film was all about, pretty much. Just
Okay.
like it was so bad.
I liked. I thought it was pretty good. I mean, considering it was
The
like
quality,
you and your wife just run around the woods, you created the story and recorded it yourselves and edited it yourself. I mean, that I think it turned out. I really liked that. I thought it was really good.
yeah, I don't know how I come up with the plot concept, but I think I was over at my sister's place and I was way down in the woods. It was like a steep hill, and I had a hammock before I got your hammock, and just one of those cheap hammocks, and put up a can't remember if I put up a tarp or might have been my poncho, but it didn't even cover the hammock. Anyway, I didn't really need it. It didn't rain, but somehow I come up with that concept that I was going to get like people run up on me in the middle at night and snatch me up, and then the next thing you see is I'm tied and gagged in a building, which was my stepdad's shed behind the house. And so my wife Kim, she played the role of the bad guy, whoever they are, like some
Yeah.
rogue faction or something, like all of a sudden the world's going to shit, And so she comes in and kicks me in the stomach and brings me outside, and she raises the machete. I was trying to escape, right? Because I somehow, I guess, in that building I found a folding saw and I had it in my hand, and she took it from me, and so she raised the machete up. She said, "You don't play by rules. Now you die." So man, it was crazy. My wife was great. She did a good job doing that, and she's that's the only clip I think that she was in. So I ended up raising up and headbutting her in the nose and killed her. And then I grabbed the
Not
machete.
just in the short film.
Right.
Yeah.
So I grabbed the
She's
machete and took off.
so we have any chances of a prequel or sequel to On the Run? Maybe get a little backstory as to why you were kidnapped.
I've thought about doing a sequel, but it was a lot of work just doing that. Like,
Yeah.
and a lot of if I would have been more smart about backing up files and storage and having everything more organized, it would have been a lot easier to keep up with everything that I did.
Yeah.
Luckily, I didn't lose a lot of stuff, and I made so many mistakes editing, like having to. It was just. I think if I did do it again, I learned a lot from that, having to keep up with so much stuff, and I've entertained the thought of trying to do it again, but I'm in no place to be able to do that right now because I mean it's hard enough for me to get out like I used to, and just because of there's so many different dynamics that's changed in my life. Not only just being a father, and my kids are getting older, and but new job, kind of a different schedule than I used to have in the past, and the fact that we bought a house and we're like 30 minutes away from where my mom's house was. She sold her house because my stepdad passed away. So it's like there's so many different changes, and then the place I go over where Camp Coyote was. That was my stepdad's cousin's land, and she just passed away. So that whole property, 40 acres, is going to get sold off. So it's like, I mean, I can still go back to my mom's old residence. The people
Yeah.
that bought the house gave me permission that I can come back to the original base camp anytime I want to. And that's the one right behind my mom's house. And then up at
Yeah,
the end of the road,
the Pallet
up at
Palace.
the end, yeah, Pallet
Yeah.
Palace. Up at the end of that street's a dead end, and then back in behind houses down in there is where I built an A-frame shelter and did several videos down there. That guy that owns that land, I've known him for years. He he doesn't mind. I can go back there. I'm actually thinking about going back there and start a new shelter build
Nice.
and a freestanding shelter, not tied to any trees or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, there's things that I can do. I could still go back over to the Camp Cody area if I wanted to, but I think it was willed to his brother's wife, and his brother unsuspected. The guy that's staying there now, she's allowing him to live there for free for a year, and then he's got to go.
Nice.
And it's just family crazy stuff, and she's going to sell it because she lives in Florida now, and so that'll be gone. And moving here to the house that I'm in now, I don't have woods on this property, so it's just yeah, like entertaining the idea of doing a sequel to that is just not feasible right now. I would love to
Right.
say, I would love to say that the reason why I've been kind of absent from YouTube is because I've been filming on the run too, but
That's you should be
that's not
teasing.
true. That's not true. I wish it were true, but it's not.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. I think sometimes people see stuff on YouTube and they think, oh, you're just gonna. This is what you do, and they kind of forget that. Yeah, I mean, we have lives outside of, like I do videos because I like to, camp and kayak and backpack, and I take the camera along. But I mean, I think we all saw when we were in Kentucky, none of us really recorded much. We were just having to, we're just, it wasn't a YouTube meetup. It was just, oh, hey, let's go hang out with Ryan and Tack and Brenda and, just have a good time. And
Yeah,
that's what I like,
that's exactly that's exactly what my mindset was. I didn't care if I got a video out of it at all. I just wanted to enjoy being with you guys again and meeting Tack and Brenda and Robin for the first time. It was just super cool, man. Like
Yeah.
Tack is exactly who she is when you watch her on her
100%. Yeah.
videos.
Yeah.
You and
Shorter than I was expecting.
yeah, but they're just good, super cool, good people, man. And you guys, you and Don and Jerry, you're just awesome. And we had a good time. And it's crazy how fast that trip came and went, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I was there and gone. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's mutual too. It's like Jerry at that, she's like, oh, maybe we should see if Ryan wants to go. This is a few months ago. I'm like, well, if you don't reach out to him, let me know. I'm like, I can reach out to him. And then Don was like, oh yeah, we got in touch with him. And yeah, he's showing up. I was like, oh, that's going to be awesome. Now,
Yeah.
unfortunately, Jason couldn't make it and he's dealing with some family stuff. But I mean, if he was there too, the only thing that would have been missing is if we could have got John Kriz to come out, and then nobody would have wanted to leave. It just would have been an
Right.
awesome time. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
So what do you, without the land that you were using, or without easy access to it at least, have you given any thought to changing up what you do as far as not even just for YouTube, but just for what I see you're doing some more hiking and car camp and stuff like that with the family over on your other channel? You
Right.
leaning more towards that stuff because it's easier to do, or is that something that interests you, like maybe getting into more camping, like backpacking or something else?
I plan on making a big comeback. And I'm not like I mean and when I say that I mean like I was putting out a video every week or every 2 weeks for 4 or 5 straight years.
Yeah.
And I want to get back to that same amount of content and new things, new shelters, new ideas, and just really do another big push because now that the hiking and stuff that that's I once entertained the thought of where it says Burnwood Bushcraft on my logo,
Yeah.
scratch through Bushcraft and put hikes under it, like Burnwood hikes. But no, I mean I want to stay true to my original theme, my original genre, I guess, in bushcraft. And
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that I can't also do other things that are outdoor related and on the channel. I mean, that's why I have my other channel, because that's where I just don't want my kids and my wife and kids on my main channel all the time, you know. So
Yeah.
so I think over there is kind of like a Burnwood Chronicles. It's like a anything goes over there. Like we can just do a road trip and just go to my favorite restaurant and do a video of that. Just anything like sporting events. I can put anything on that channel. But when you label yourself bushcraft, it's kind of hard to kind of limited on what you want to put on that channel.
Yeah, that's when I started mine. I started my YouTube channel back in 2007, and it was just a spot for me to put videos so I could share them with families living down in Florida at the time. And for me, just in case I ever did something stupid and wound up hurting myself to the point where I forgot what I had done, I could look back and think, oh yeah, I used to do stuff.
Yeah.
It wasn't until about the time that YouTube outdoor group kind of got together back in, was it 2017 or so, like somewhere around there,
Yeah. Yeah.
where I added. I was like, well, should I say change the name of the channel? Like I made the logo, and I was like, well, I think I'll just add outdoors, because I do, backpacking, camping, kayaking, road trips, and different things, and I didn't want to be like, oh, this is going to be kayaking or backpacking. So I figured outdoors covers all of it. But
Yeah.
sometimes that's a blessing and a curse, because I can put up different content, and then I immediately get, like, if I do kayaking, it's like I immediately get this, like, a couple people are just like downvote, like, no, boo, this isn't what we want to see. And it's like, well, I do other stuff.
Right. Yeah. 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 I
I
see. I can
try
see
not to
that.
let that stuff bother me. So going back to the YouTube channel stuff. So other than you, who should people kind of look for to get the proper way? Or maybe I should rephrase that. For anyone new to bushcraft, other than you, where else should people look for the proper way to get started? That's the better way of wording it.
Any of the big name channels, I would say. There's so many of them. I think you can find pretty much whatever you need if you just type in safety tips or bushcraft safety tips or
Yeah.
bushcraft skills, like how to,
What do you
pay
think
attention. Like,
what do you think of sites like Bushcraft USA and things like
yeah,
that, like the forums? Are you a part of those?
no, I haven't really looked too much into those. I know when I used to watch Joe Robinette a lot. He would talk about Bushcraft USA and Dave Canterbury and Corporal's Corner and all those guys. I've never really looked into that. I've often thought that I would like to go to a bushcraft school myself
Hmm.
and just, I mean, just starter level, and just work up through different levels of skills. But no, I've never really looked too much into them. But if you're looking for, like I said, the big name channels, if you're looking for safety tips and skills, how to, like, the proper way to do things, there's plenty on YouTube you can find. I'm sure there's probably Bushcraft USA videos and
I would imagine
seminars.
so. I don't know that I've ever seen them pop up. Maybe they don't do it strictly as Bushcraft USA, but maybe their users, their community kind of puts them out collectively. Yeah, I
Right.
don't know if I've ever seen a Bushcraft USA channel. They probably have one. I would be amazed if they didn't.
Yeah.
So for what, I know I've sent you some stuff that I've seen out in the woods that's, quote unquote bushcrafty. What kind of things do you come across when you're out, or have you seen people do that's like a pet peeve for you? Like you look at it and you just kind of cringe.
Just trash, junk, like in the woods. Like, I guess people back in the day didn't care. I mean, didn't care about just leaving all their junk out in the woods and never try to clean anything up. Like, especially like over there at the Camp Coyote area. It's like there's all kinds of stuff out there, man. Like, who does that? I mean,
Yeah.
the woods is not a junkyard. I can't stand to see just stuff that could easily be taken out of there, just left.
Yeah.
Like, I was finding old soda bottles, old Mountain Dew bottles, Pepsi bottles with the old logos and stuff like that. Like, man, this stuff's been out here for a long time.
Yeah.
And like, I've never really run across many, like how you see little bushcraft shelters you find like near the trails and stuff like that. I've never really run across something that someone else has built like that. So
Yeah.
I can't really speak to something like that that would kind of irritate me. But I can see why it would irritate you because right next to the trail, that's just uncalled for right there.
Yeah. I mean,
Building a trying to build a structure.
yeah, like that spot that I sent you a picture of, or like a little short video a couple years ago, where me and Adam were up in Vermont, and there's that really kind of janky lean-to that guy had built. There was signs up from the Vermont, I don't know, DCR, wherever they are up there, but there were signs up like, this is not, like, this guy had cut down live trees. You could see that he had cut down live trees. There's all kinds of live, boughs on his, for his roof. And there were signs up all over the place, like, stop doing this. Adam went up there I think it was last year, and he was going to go to the same campsite, and they had that all cordoned off as a recovery area. So like,
Really?
that guy probably kept on going back and doing the same thing, and there's like, oh, we're just going to kick you out. Like,
Yeah.
I don't mind so much. Like, we got a lot of state forest land around here, and I've come across the one, like, I don't do a whole lot of off trail stuff. Occasionally I do, but I came across that one camp that was behind a camp that I was using, and I didn't know it was there. And I was just kind of walking around exploring, and he was up way off the trail, up around the corner, had like a fire break built, but it wasn't like in the way. It was concealed. It was cleaned. Everything was nice and neat. And I was like, that's fine. That one doesn't bother me. But I've come across ones on the trail where they've cut down live trees. The worst one was on the Pinchot Trail. There's no assigned names to campsites. I just assign names to them so I know what they are. Like, depending, like, one on the map is right at the top of the letter A of Lackawanna. So I call that campsite tip of the A, or southernmost. But the one is, we just call it Bushcraft campsite, because the first time we were just doing a day hike out there, and somebody cut down live trees. They'd taken a couple of saplings and lashed them to 2 pine trees at about 4 feet high, and then gotten gigantic river rocks and created a countertop out of it.
Wow.
And they just left it there. And we're like, no. So we cut all that down. We scattered it.
Right.
And then like 6 months later, we went out there to camp, and they had done it again. So we cut it all down, scattered it. It was like, yeah, come on. Like, this, there's so much forest out there for you to do this stuff in. This is on a backpacking trail. Like, what are you thinking? Like, if a ranger is going to see it, that's where they're going to see it. They're not going to go look up in the woods. They're going to see it right there. And it gives everybody a bad name.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
And you can see where they leave like their hatchets in the tree. Like, they get done cutting, there's like, stick it right in the tree. And it's, well, that one's going to die. That's great. That's the stuff that's my pet peeves. And there's videos where I go off for like 20 minutes about it, and I just edit that stuff out. I'm like, I don't want to talk about it. Like, I'll delete that.
I will cut down a dead standing if I know that tree is dead. I will not touch a living tree. It's just, there's no point in it, because I mean, you should be able to find dead wood, downed wood all over the forest.
Yeah. In Pennsylvania, on like state game land, even cutting a dead standing is not allowed. It's got to be down, like on the ground, before you can cut it. Yeah, they don't.
Gotcha.
If you don't have a choice, and you got to camp at a spot and that tree's leaning and it's clearly dead, they probably won't give you a hard time. But by the letter of the law, you're not supposed to do it. And I'm guilty of doing it. I've done it, and then somebody would catch it on a video and message me like, that's illegal. I know, but when it's 10 degrees out and you need firewood, and that's what's dry and will burn, and it's clearly dead, you want to find me. But
right,
I'm trying to survive at that point. When it gets that cold and the wind picks up. So
yeah,
I think it's all in context and how you're doing it. But if you're just hacking down live trees, first of all, they don't burn. I don't know why people do that. Green wood will not burn, so you're just wasting. You're just killing a tree for no reason.
Yep.
And you got to look at your, you should know the regulations of the land you're on. Like, if you're on private property, do what you want. But you're especially on like public land, state forest land, or anything like that. Like, when we were in Kentucky, we saw that kid like walk through camp with a freaking tree.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, You better hope a ranger doesn't see that, because they will fine you for that in the national park. It doesn't matter if that thing's down or not. They don't want you collecting wood in the national park. They will freak out.
Right.
So you got real lucky.
They want you to buy that $11 bundle of firewood
that burns in like 30 seconds or soaking wet.
Yeah, man.
You lucked out with that wood you found.
Yeah, like that 2-lane road, like going out of the park. And where was we going when we took that? I forgot.
That was
instead of getting on the highway to go to the interstate to go to the dinosaur park, Jerry took the back way, the two-lane road, which took us right to the same spot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just happened to notice it on the side, like on the way back. Like we stopped somewhere to get something, and I was looking for firewood, and I was like, "Whoa!" I said, "Look, he's got it on a trailer right there." So we turned around, and it said $5 a bundle, and he had just a metal. It was like a wooden pull behind trailer.
Nickel box.
He had a metal box there. Just I guess it's an honor thing.
We were leaving, I think, the mine, right? Or the cave. We were leaving the cave.
That's what it was.
You guys were like, "Oh, you kept on saying you want to go pick up firewood," and I knew we were going to pick you up a cake. So I'm like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna go look for firewood too, and go get gas and maybe pick up." I'm like, "How are we gonna explain that we're gone for like 45 minutes?" Then we're like, "All right, yeah, go find firewood. We'll meet you back again."
I told Kim, my wife, I was like, "Please don't make a big deal about my birthday. It's not about me." I said, "I'm just happy to be there, even though it is my birthday. It just happened to work out that it was my birthday."
Yeah.
I said, "I don't want anybody to expect. I don't expect anything from anyone. I just assume not to have birthdays no more myself.
Yeah.
I'm getting too old. You can tell."
Don't be reminded.
But anyway, she said, "I haven't said it." She said, "I haven't said a word. I promise you." That was a lie.
I thought your kids are going to rat us out because they saw what was going on. We're like, shh.
Right. That was cool, man. I appreciate you guys doing that. That cake was awesome too.
Oh my! It was like ice cream cake that went from frozen solid to liquid in about 10 seconds. We're like all like doing something else. It'll thaw. Oh my God! It smells. Quick, hurry up!
Yeah, it went from just being very hard to get a knife into it, and like, oh, we better let that sit for a minute, and then it's like the thawing process just sped up, and it was like dripping everywhere.
Made the day of those people next to us too, because we couldn't eat that whole thing.
Yeah,
hey, come on over with some cake. Well, it's that kid's birthday too, so it worked out. You shared her birthday with a kid.
Sure did. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, do you got any plans? How many national parks have you gone to?
Well, of course, I've been to the state park here at Stone Mountain.
Right.
State park.
I mean, like big national parks like that, like Mammoth Cave.
That may be my first one. I'm not very well traveled outside the state of North Carolina. And when I did go out of the state of North Carolina in my younger days, it was like vacations, just not to national parks, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That might be my first one.
Is that really loud? My neighbor just fired up the lawnmower right outside my window.
No, I don't even hear it.
Okay. Oh. It sounds louder in my headphones than it does outside, but yeah, I can give them. They'll go in the backyard in a second. This is like right outside my window. It's loud. All right, they're in the back now. So while I got the minute where they don't have the lawnmower, so I started this with John. I call it either or. So these are 10 things. It'll just be your first thing comes off the top of your head, and we'll get this out of the way while we can still hear. Okay, so and since you're from North Carolina, we're going to go with the first one here: Outer Banks or the mountains?
Mountains.
Warm weather or cold weather?
Cold.
Okay, you can only take one: knife, axe, or saw.
Knife.
Build a shelter or use a tarp?
Tarp, if I have it.
Encounter with a bear? Depending on what you have. Yeah. So encounter with a bear or encounter with a snake?
Snake.
Dehydrated food or cook on a fire?
For ease, dehydrated. Depends on what's going on.
See, I thought you would just jump right to sausage on the open fire.
Depends on what I'm doing. Depends on if I want to. have a cleanup afterwards. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dehydrate is much easier. Ferro rod or magnesium block?
Rod.
Collected tinder or pre-made fire starter?
I prefer to collect my own tinder.
Appalachian or Appalachian?
Appalachian.
The most important one, hammock or tent?
Hammock.
Good answer.
No doubt. Thanks to you, buddy. Thanks to you. I had no
Yeah,
idea.
you missed out in Kentucky with the hammock. I mean, you guys brought the Taj Mahal, man. That thing is massive. The tent you guys brought. You could park the car in there. That was huge.
Yeah, it's pretty big. But after we get all four sleep pads and four sleeping bags in there, and all of our clothes and everything, and kids' little backpacks and stuff, it fills the whole tent up, pretty much. So it's like one side of it's just totally dedicated to all the all the extras, all the
Yeah.
stuff.
How hard was it to unpack all that out of your car? I mean, you guys that was like the epitome of sitting on a suitcase to get all the stuff in your car at the end. It was so great.
Man, everything went in there so easily, but it did not want to go back in the way it went in there. But no, when I was working, we were unpacked within 20 minutes.
Oh wow.
And yeah, and like I put everything away in here. This is my gear room, so I put everything away. So the next day, Kim, because remember we put the tent in the black trash bag, contractor trash bag, because it was just wet and dirty. But she set the tent up, swept it out. When I was at work, she set the tent up in the backyard, flipped it over, like hosed it off with a water hose, like all the gravel rocks and all that stuff, and let it dry out really good. Our sleep mats had a little bit of our sleep pads had a little bit of condensation on the bottom of them. So she took all those out of the stuff sacks and laid those out in the sun, let it just dry like Dragon did. He set up everything and let it dry out. She did that, and she finally she said, "Well, I think I figured out the best way to fold this tent, and it goes right in the tent bag, no problem." So she did it all herself.
Nice. Yeah, that's usually the hardest part is getting everything back in its stuff sacks. Jerry always gives me a hard time because she thinks there's a cabal of cottage vendors that we come up with the minimum size stuff sack to fit anything in, and we've got to make it just a little bit smaller than that just to give people fits. That's what she. So like all her stuff, I always make the stuff sacks a little bit smaller, and then like for anybody else in the group, everybody gets like an oversized stuff sack. So I made like a little sleeping bag for Gwen, and I gave this huge stuff sack, and she's like, "What? How do I rate? I get all these little stuff sacks."
That's pretty funny. Yeah,
But
these
all right,
sleep pads that we got, I'm not sure what brand it is. It's Amazon brand or something, but they're nice. Like it's a lot bigger and more comfortable than my Climate that I've been using, and it's got the foot pump in the bottom of it. But the stuff sacks that those come in, they're fairly generous in room, so they're pretty easy to get back in the stuff sack.
yeah, I've got a Climate. I like my Climate. I'm trying to like manually adjust my volume with the lawnmower right next to me. I like my Climate. My original one got a pinhole in it, and I could not find it. So I reached out to him like, "Hey, do you guys have any suggestions on how to find this hole?" And it was a little bit of a weird interaction with them, but they just wound up sending me a new one. And I'm like, "Oh no, you don't have to do that. I mean, thing's like 5 years old, 4 or 5 years old. You have to send me a new one." They just replaced it. So I like it. It's pretty comfortable. It's not the lightest thing in the world, but for as much as I go to ground, I like it. But I've got an Amazon one too that's lighter. It's got no R value, but it's pretty rugged, so I don't mind that one either.
Is that sleep and go one?
Yeah,
Sleep and go.
yeah, sleep and go.
I have one. I have one of those. Yeah, it's not
Yep.
bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, I wouldn't use it for like trying to do the AT or anything for an extended amount of time because it will fail at some point. But for like say for
Yeah,
as often as I go to ground, I think it works fine. Stupid
but
lawnmower.
man, a hammock is just so nice, man. Like especially in the summertime because you're up off, you're away from the bugs, the creepy crawlies, the ants, the spiders, and with the bug net, mosquitoes. You know, it's just awesome.
Yeah, I like it to be up off the ground to keep away from the ticks.
Yes, ticks. Exactly.
Yeah, those things are that's like the biggest animal, and people are like, what are you afraid of the most in the woods? It's ticks. Ticks and humans, and then like bears are like way down the list. Bears are way down the list.
I've never had an encounter with a bear. Maybe one day I will.
Really? You've never had an encounter with a bear?
Never, never.
Wow. I mean, we saw one in the second lawnmower ago now. That's we had a bear encounter the day before we came down to Kentucky. I went over like a day early, and I was hanging out with Gwen, and we're playing in the backyard, and a bear came out of the woods, and she's like, "Can I pet the bear?" I'm like, "No, no, you can't pet the bear." But they get bears up there all the time, and I grew up around them, so I mean, I've probably had a couple hundred bear encounters.
Back to your question about snake or a bear. I hate snakes. I don't care what color it is. I just don't like snakes. And so I don't know, man. It's like if I had experience with bear encounters, maybe I would change the answer to that question.
Yeah,
But
it depends on the kind of bear. Black bears, they're like kind of grumpy puppies. Sometimes,
yeah,
sometimes they just ignore you and walk away. But snakes don't bother me. I mean, I've come across quite a few rattlesnakes and copperheads and things like that. And one, like, what's this really dangerous, like red and black ones? The king snake or the coral snake, whichever one's really poisonous. I had one and sitting on my front step when I lived in Florida. I opened the door and I was like, "Oh no!" I just closed the door. I'm like, wait for that thing to go away. And then when I hung up on my car door, I'm like, "Come on, dude, really?" Like anywhere else but these two spots. We've been going for over an hour here, so I wait till I'm finished cutting the grass right outside my window here.
I don't even hear that at all.
I know it's going to come through in editing. I'm going to hear it. You don't hear that?
Now I do, yeah.
I cranked the microphone all the way up to get it, but yeah, it went by the window. Like it always sounds worse in the microphone when you're recording because you hear every little thing. You're like, oh, that's going to come through. Like I'll hear my freezer start to self defrost, and I'm like, oh, that's going to come through, and then I never hear it when I'm editing. So maybe it's not as bad as I think because it is right next to my head.
Yeah, I was actually out doing yard work before we went on here, and I got my summer fishing shirt on because when I'm weed whacking, and there's around some of the trees there's a little bit of poison ivy or poison oak or that sumac stuff. Man, if I get that, I can just almost look at that stuff and I get it. Poison ivy. So that's why I'm wearing this shirt and bucket hat, keep the sun off of me and stuff. But yeah, I was doing some yard work out there, and I was trying to find the pieces that I need. I was going to take the string head off the weed eater and put a brush blade on it because I got some stuff back here in the back that I want to knock down. It's thick stuff, and I couldn't find the pieces for it. When you were texting me earlier, I was in my shed back there looking for everything and couldn't find it. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I tell everybody else. Just get a goat. You don't have to worry about it if you have a goat, and they're quiet.
Kids would like to have a goat. We actually have a goat farm right down the road down here. It's got a bunch of them.
Yeah, we got a few. I mean, this is a little more town around me here, but yeah, there's a lot of spots. So every time I drive by, I see a goat. I'm like, how quickly can I grab one? Will they notice if they're missing a goat?
Yeah.
Cool. Of course, they eat everything, but they're cool looking.
Yeah, everything.
All right. Well, I guess we'll wrap this up because we've been going on for a while. We'll see how much of I can edit out the lawnmower there. Let's see how long the episode's going to be. Maybe I'll break this into two. But Ryan, man, thanks for getting on. It's always fun talking to you.
You. Thank you for having me on, man. I really appreciate it.
Anytime. And we'll have you on again.
See you guys.
All right. So that's going to do it for this episode. If you guys have got any questions for Ryan, you can go to his channel, check out his YouTube channels. Instagram, what's your Instagram? Is it just Burnwood Bushcraft, right?
I've actually nuked Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. The only thing I am on is YouTube and Rumble.
YouTube and Rumble, which is what we're using now to record, so we'll see how well this works out. But yeah, so check him out on YouTube and Rumble at Burnwood Bushcraft. You can comment on his videos, or if you don't want to do that, you just want to send me a message, I can get it to him. It's at hike.files@gmail.com. That's going to do it for this episode. Enjoy the rest of your week. See you in the next.